Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to picture something with me for just a moment. Imagine a magnificent tree standing tall in the middle of a fertile field. Its branches stretch wide, heavy with fruit, its leaves shimmer with life, and its roots sink deep into nourishing soil. Now imagine another tree nearby. Its bark is cracked, its leaves are sparse, and its fruit never ripens. Both trees are exposed to the same sun, the same rain, the same breeze. What makes the difference? The answer lies in the roots. Strong roots nourish the entire tree, while weak roots starve it from within. Our bodies are no different. No matter how sharp our minds, no matter how ambitious our goals, if the very system that fuels us, the digestive system, is weak, the rest of our lives will feel starved, sluggish, and strained. Digestion is not just about food. It is about energy, clarity, mood, and ultimately, the quality of our lives. When digestion suffers, so does everything else. And when digestion thrives, so do we. Today, I want to share with you three powerful keys to improving digestion, not just in the physical sense, but in a way that empowers you to live with vitality, confidence, and strength. These three keys are simple, but do not mistake simplicity for weakness. When practiced with consistency, they can transform the way you feel, the way you think, and the way you live. The first key is this: honor your body with mindful eating. We live in a world of speed, fast food, fast schedules, fast distractions. We eat in cars, in front of televisions, while scrolling through phones, hardly aware of what or how much we are consuming. Yet digestion begins not in the stomach, but in the mind. The moment we smell food, the body prepares, enzymes activate, saliva flows, the entire system gears up for nourishment. But when we eat absent-mindedly, rushing through bites, our body never truly receives the signal to digest fully. The result? Bloating, discomfort, fatigue, and wasted potential. Think of it this way. Imagine giving someone a precious gift only to have them tear it open without looking, toss it aside, and move on to the next thing. That is what we do when we eat without presence. Our bodies are offering us the gift of life through food, and we rush past it. But when we slow down, when we chew each bite thoroughly, when we breathe and taste and give thanks, everything changes. Digestion becomes smoother, nutrients absorb more fully, energy flows more consistently. Mindful eating is not about restriction, it is about respect. Respect for the body that carries you and for the food that fuels you. So let me ask you, what would happen if, starting tonight, you ate your next meal with complete attention? No screens, no rushing, just you and the gift of nourishment. How would your body respond if you truly honored it in this way? That brings me to the second key: strengthen your digestion through movement. We often separate eating from exercise as though they live in different worlds. But digestion is not a passive process. It thrives on circulation, on flow, on movement. Think about a river. When water is stagnant, it becomes cloudy, heavy, even toxic. But when water flows, it stays clear, vibrant, and full of life. Your digestive system is the same. When we sit still for hours after eating, food lingers where it should not, and heaviness sets in. But when we engage the body, through walking, stretching, breathing, the inner river moves, carrying away what is no longer needed and absorbing what gives us strength. And movement does not need to mean hours in the gym. A 10-minute walk after a meal can work wonders. Gentle yoga can soothe and stimulate the digestive organs. Even simple deep breathing can activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's rest and digest mode, making it easier to break down food and release energy. I remember a friend of mine who used to suffer from constant indigestion. He had tried medications, diets, supplements, nothing seemed to work. Until one day, instead of lying down after dinner, he went for a 15-minute walk. That one change turned into a habit, and within weeks, his digestion improved dramatically. His energy returned, his mood lifted, all because he allowed his inner river to flow. So I ask you, how often do you give your body the gift of movement after eating? Not punishment, not exhaustion, just movement, just flow. And this brings us to the third and final key: fuel your digestion with the right choices. Here is the truth. Your body is not a trash can, yet too often we treat it like one. We load it with processed foods, excessive sugar, heavy fats, things that may bring momentary pleasure but leave us drained, inflamed, and uncomfortable. But your digestive system is wise. It knows what it needs. It thrives on foods that are alive, colorful, and whole. Fresh fruits, vibrant vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, seeds. These are not just foods, they are medicine. They contain fiber to keep the system moving, enzymes to ease the breakdown of nutrients, and compounds that strengthen the gut itself. Now, this is not about perfection. Life is meant to be enjoyed. And yes, there is room for treats and celebrations. But the question is, what do you give your body most of the time? Do you feed it in a way that sustains you, that builds you, that energizes you? Or do you leave it struggling to process what was never meant to nourish it in the first place? When you make better choices, your body responds with gratitude. Suddenly, the afternoon slump fades, the heaviness after meals disappears, mental fog clears. You find yourself more present, more alive, more capable of doing the work you are meant to do in this world. So here we have it, 3 keys to improving digestion: mindful eating, movement, and nourishing choices. They may sound simple, but together they form the foundation of vitality. But let me leave you with this thought. Digestion is more than food. It is about how we process life itself. Just as your stomach must break down a meal, your heart and mind must break down experiences, emotions, and challenges. And just as poor food choices can weigh down your body, poor thought patterns can weigh down your spirit. If you can learn to digest your food with presence, movement, and wisdom, perhaps you can also learn to digest your life with the same grace. So tonight, when you sit down for your next meal, ask yourself, am I honoring my body? Am I allowing movement to keep me alive and flowing? Am I choosing fuel that lifts me higher? And then take action. Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. Because your body is the only home you truly live in, and your digestion is the root system that keeps that home standing strong. Let us not settle for lives of fatigue, discomfort, and stagnation. Let us rise into lives of energy, clarity, and power. The choice is ours. The gift is already in our hands, and the time to act is now. Ladies and gentlemen, let us dive even deeper, because while we have touched the surface of how digestion shapes our bodies and lives, there is so much more beneath the skin, so much more that connects the way we treat our stomachs to the way we treat our very existence. You see, digestion is not just biology. It is a metaphor for how we handle everything that comes our way. Food, yes, but also stress, challenges, opportunities, relationships. We consume, we process, we absorb, we eliminate. That is the cycle of digestion, and it mirrors the cycle of living. Think about it. Every day you are taking in experiences the way you take in meals. Some experiences nourish you, strengthen you, fill you with gratitude and joy. Others weigh you down, leave you heavy, uncomfortable, wishing you had never consumed them. And just as your body knows the difference between wholesome food and empty calories, your spirit knows the difference between what enriches your life and what drains it. But here is the question: are you listening? Are you tuned in enough to notice when you are overloading your body, your mind, or your heart with things that were never meant to serve you? Let us return to the first key, mindful eating, but stretch it further. When you sit with a plate of food, you are also sitting with a moment of life. How often do we rush through both? We eat quickly, we scroll through our days, we check boxes on endless to-do lists, and at the end of it all, we ask ourselves, why do I feel so empty? It is because rushing robs us of digestion. The body cannot break down what it has not been given time to taste. The same is true of experiences. If you do not pause, if you do not reflect, if you do not savor, you never truly digest the lessons life offers you. I once met a woman who told me that her greatest regret was not what she had failed to achieve, but what she had failed to feel. She said she spent years chasing success, years running from one task to the next, and only later did she realize she had consumed life but never digested it. She had plenty on her plate but had never truly tasted it. That confession struck me deeply, because isn't that what many of us do? We keep feeding ourselves information, entertainment, even relationships, without ever slowing down to ask, What am I taking in? And is it nourishing me? When you practice mindful eating at the table, you are also training yourself to be mindful in life. To chew slowly is to live slowly. To taste each bite is to taste each moment. To honor your body with presence is to honor your soul with awareness. That is why the first key is so powerful. It is not only about the body, it is about the spirit of living fully, deeply, consciously. Now consider the second key: movement. Yes, walking after meals aids digestion. Yes, stretching helps the body process. But beyond the physical, what does movement symbolize? It symbolizes momentum in life. Too many of us get stuck, weighed down not just by heavy meals, but by heavy routines, heavy fears, heavy doubts. Stagnation in the body creates sickness. Stagnation in life creates despair. The river must flow, or it becomes a swamp. When you commit to movement after eating, you are sending a message not just to your stomach, but to your entire being. I will not remain stagnant. I will keep flowing. I will not let heaviness define me. Imagine how this principle changes everything. That tough conversation you have been avoiding? Move. That dream you keep putting off? Move. That pain from the past you keep holding inside? Move. Just as food stuck in the gut creates discomfort, emotions stuck in the soul create suffering. Movement, whether physical or emotional, is the path to release, to clarity, to healing. I recall a man who had lost his job and with it, his sense of identity. For weeks he barely moved, sat at home, consumed junk food, and sank deeper into despair. One day, his neighbor invited him for a short walk, just a walk. He resisted, but finally gave in. That walk turned into a routine. The routine turned into a habit. The habit turned into energy. And with that energy, he rebuilt his confidence, applied for new opportunities, and rebuilt his life. All from the simple decision to move. Do not underestimate the power of motion. It heals digestion, yes, but it also heals the soul. And then we come again to the third key: fueling the body with the right choices. Think of the word choice for a moment. Every time you eat, you are making a choice. Every time you open your mouth, you are choosing whether to heal or to harm, whether to energize or to drain, whether to move toward health or toward disease. And the truth is, the body responds with stunning honesty. Feed it junk, and it drags. Feed it life, and it soars. But choices are not only about food. They are about every input you allow into your system. What media do you consume? What conversations do you engage in? What thoughts do you allow to replay in your mind? These are meals too, and they too must be digested. A body cannot thrive on processed sugar. A soul cannot thrive on toxic negativity. A body thrives on fiber and enzymes. A mind thrives on wisdom and gratitude. What are you feeding your system right now? When you realize that everything is food, food for the stomach, food for the mind, food for the heart, you also realize that digestion is not a small topic. It is the topic. It is life itself. Because if you are not digesting well, you are not living well. Now let me take you on a journey. Imagine a young child, full of energy, running freely, laughing loudly. That child eats when hungry, stops when full, moves constantly, sleeps deeply. Digestion in that child is strong because the rhythm of life is natural. Now imagine the adult version of that child, sitting long hours, eating late at night, ignoring hunger cues, numbing stress with processed food, scrolling instead of sleeping. Where did the rhythm go? The child inside us knew the way. The adult forgot, but it is not too late to return. If we honor the first key, mindful eating, we return to presence. If we honor the second, movement, we return to flow. If we honor the third, fueling wisely, we return to vitality. Together, these keys restore the natural rhythm that was ours from the beginning. And let us not forget gratitude. Gratitude is itself a digestive aid. Studies even show that when people eat with a sense of appreciation, their bodies absorb nutrients more effectively. But beyond science, gratitude changes our energy. A grateful eater does not abuse food, does not overindulge, does not take the gift of nourishment for granted. Gratitude turns a simple meal into a sacred ritual. And when you live with gratitude, you are digesting life itself with grace. I want you to ask yourself right now, what is one change I can make today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Perhaps it is chewing slowly at dinner. Perhaps it is walking after lunch. Perhaps it is swapping soda for water. Perhaps it is taking 5 minutes to breathe before eating. Whatever it is, commit to it. Because small changes in digestion ripple into massive changes in energy, mood, productivity, and joy. And let me tell you, this is not about perfection. You will slip. You will have days when you eat mindlessly, when you skip the walk, when you reach for the wrong fuel. That is human. But digestion is not about never failing. It is about always returning. The body forgives quickly. The moment you realign, it begins to heal. The body is not your enemy. It is your partner. And it is always ready to work with you if you will only honor it. So, let us return to where we began. The tree in the field. Strong roots, strong tree. Weak roots, weak tree. Your digestion is your root system. Strengthen it, and every branch of your life, your energy, your work, your relationships, your dreams will bear fruit. Neglect it, and no matter how much sun or rain comes your way, you will struggle to thrive. The choice is yours. Eat with presence, move with intention, choose with wisdom, digest not just food, but life. And above all, remember that every bite, every breath, every step is an opportunity to honor the home you live in, the body that carries you through this miraculous journey of being alive. And I promise you this, if you take these truths and live them, not just hear them, you will not only improve your digestion, you will ignite your life. Now I leave you with a challenge. Tonight, as you sit with your next meal, do not simply eat, experience, taste, chew, breathe, give thanks, move after, feel the difference. Because that difference is the doorway to a healthier, brighter, more powerful you. The roots are waiting, nourish them well, and watch how high, how strong, how magnificent your life can grow. Ladies and gentlemen, let us continue this journey together, because what I want you to truly understand is that the subject of digestion is far greater than the boundaries of our stomachs. It is the invisible thread that ties our physical strength, our emotional balance, and even our spiritual clarity into one seamless experience of life. When digestion is weak, we struggle. When digestion is strong, we flourish. And while I have already shared with you 3 keys, mindful eating, movement, and nourishing choices, there are deeper layers, deeper truths that must be explored if you and I are to fully grasp how transformative this subject can be. Think for a moment about your energy. How many of you wake up some mornings and feel drained before the day even begins? You have not even started your work, yet you already feel heavy. Why? Often it is not because of lack of sleep, not because of lack of ambition, but because your body is still wrestling with the food you gave it yesterday. Imagine a soldier who is asked to fight a new battle while still dragging the debris of the last one. How effective will he be? Your digestive system is that soldier. Every day, every night, it fights tirelessly to break down what you consume, to separate what gives life from what must be released. When you overload it with food that is difficult, artificial, or toxic, it spends so much energy on that task that little energy remains for you to live with vibrancy. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine you give your body food that is alive, easy to digest, rich with natural enzymes and fiber. Suddenly, your digestive system has less of a burden, less of a war to fight, and the energy it saves is energy you get to use. This is why so many people who shift toward whole foods suddenly feel as though their life force has been unlocked. It is not magic, it is the natural result of honoring digestion. But there is another aspect here. Have you ever noticed that when your digestion is upset, your mood is upset as well? Science now tells us that the gut is like a second brain, producing neurotransmitters that influence how we feel. Serotonin, dopamine, those very chemicals that determine whether we feel calm, joyful, focused. And when the gut is inflamed or burdened, those chemicals misfire, leaving us anxious, irritable, even depressed. So let me ask you, how many of your bad moods are not actually about your circumstances, but about your digestion? How many arguments, how many moments of despair, how many lost opportunities might be prevented if we simply cared for this inner system? And this is why mindful eating, our first key, is more than just chewing slowly. It is about tuning in to what your body is saying. So many of us have lost the ability to listen to hunger and fullness cues. We eat because the clock says so, because the commercial tempts us, because stress drives us to comfort. But true mindfulness is the ability to pause and ask, am I hungry or am I lonely? Am I thirsty or am I bored? Am I feeding my body or am I trying to numb my heart? When you learn to ask those questions, you reclaim power, because food is not the enemy, it is the misuse of food that creates the enemy. Now let us circle again to movement. I want you to picture a stagnant pond. In it, algae grows thick, mosquitoes swarm, the air around it smells foul. Now picture a mountain stream, clear, crisp, flowing over rocks, sparkling under the sun. Both are made of water. The difference is movement. Your body, your digestion, your very life is the same. When you move, you cleanse. You stimulate blood flow. You activate the muscles of the digestive tract. You trigger hormones that help nutrients travel where they need to go. But when you sit still, you create a pond inside yourself. And let me tell you, disease thrives in stagnant ponds. This is why cultures throughout history tied movement and digestion together. In India, people walk after meals. In Japan, simple stretching is a daily practice. In China, Qigong exercises have long been linked to digestive health. But here, in our modern rushed lives, we often eat and then collapse. On the couch, at the desk, in the car. And then we wonder why we feel sluggish, why our bodies rebel. The truth is, digestion was designed to be supported by motion. And when you honor that design, your health transforms. Now, choices, our third key. I want you to consider for a moment the supermarket aisles. You walk through them, and shelves shout at you with bright colors, shiny wrappers, promises of quick satisfaction. But what do they really contain? Chemicals your ancestors could not even pronounce. Additives created not to nourish, but to addict. Sugars hidden in labels under dozens of names. And every bite you take of those products is a choice. Not just a choice for today, but a choice for tomorrow's energy, tomorrow's clarity, tomorrow's health. Imagine your body as a fire. If you feed it dry wood, it burns clean and hot. If you throw in wet logs and trash, the fire smokes, struggles, and eventually chokes itself. That is exactly what happens when we eat without discernment. And yet, how many times do we sacrifice tomorrow's vitality for today's fleeting pleasure? But here's the empowering truth. Every single meal is a new chance to rebuild the fire. Even if you have made poor choices for years, the body is astonishingly forgiving. The moment you choose differently, it begins to repair, to heal, to regenerate. That is the miracle built into us. But let us step beyond food now, because if we are to speak for hours about digestion, we must also see it as a universal law. How do you digest stress? How do you digest disappointment? How do you digest failure? Some of us swallow these things whole, let them sit heavy inside us, and never process them. And just like undigested food, they rot, they ferment, they cause inner pain. But others learn to break them down, chew on them with perspective, absorb the lessons, eliminate the bitterness. That is digestion too. And just as weak physical digestion causes disease, weak emotional digestion causes despair. I remember a man who faced a devastating business failure. At first, he swallowed it whole, every day replaying the mistakes, blaming himself, sinking deeper into shame. It made him sick, literally sick. But then, with time, he chose to digest differently. He began to ask, what did this teach me? How can I grow stronger from it? He broke down the experience into nutrients, wisdom, resilience, humility, and eliminated the rest. And soon, not only did his health return, but he built a new business stronger than the first. Why? Because he digested his experience. The same applies to relationships. How many of us carry old arguments, old betrayals, inside like undigested meals? We cannot move forward because we never released the waste of the past. But when we choose to let go, to keep the lesson and discard the poison, we free ourselves. That is digestion too. So what am I saying? I am saying that digestion is not only a physical process, it is a way of life. To live well is to digest well. to take in with awareness, to process with wisdom, to absorb what strengthens, and to release what weakens. Whether it is food on your plate or events in your day, the principle is the same. And this is why the call to action today is so urgent. Because if you neglect digestion, physical, emotional, or spiritual, you pay the price not only in health, but in happiness. But if you honor it, you unlock vitality, clarity, joy, resilience. So I urge you, begin tonight. Begin not with a revolution, but with a simple step. Perhaps that step is chewing slowly. Perhaps it is walking after dinner. Perhaps it is choosing an apple instead of a pastry. Perhaps it is journaling your emotions instead of burying them. Whatever it is, let it be the seed. And let that seed grow and grow until your entire life is nourished. And as you walk this path, remember this: you deserve to feel light, not heavy. You deserve to feel clear, not foggy. You deserve to feel strong, not sluggish. You deserve to thrive. And the key is already inside you. The roots are waiting. Nourish them. Because in the end, ladies and gentlemen, digestion is not about what food does to you. It is about what you choose to do for yourself. And if you choose presence, movement, and wisdom, your body, your mind, and your life will reward you 1,000 times over. Ladies and gentlemen, let us go even further, because I know that some of you are still holding back a quiet doubt inside you. You are thinking, can something as ordinary as digestion truly carry this much weight in my life? Can what I eat, how I move afterward, truly determine not just my health, but my energy, my mood, even my success? And I tell you now with every conviction in me, yes, it can. Because digestion is not just biology, it is the foundation, the rhythm, the fire, the current that runs through everything you do. Think back to a time when you felt unstoppable. You woke up light, energized, clear-headed. You tackled tasks with sharpness. You laughed easily. You felt at peace. Now ask yourself, what had you eaten the night before? How had you cared for your body in the days leading up to that moment? For many of us, the answer reveals itself. The times we felt alive, radiant, in flow, were the times our digestion was unburdened. And the times we felt heavy, dull, anxious, unmotivated, were the times our inner fire was suffocated. So if digestion has that much power, then improving it is not just about health. It is about reclaiming your best self. And reclaiming your best self begins with a decision to stop ignoring the signals your body has been sending, a decision to respect this magnificent system that works day and night, whether you acknowledge it or not, a decision to return to the roots of life itself. Let me expand on the first key again, mindful eating, because there is a depth to it we have only begun to touch. Imagine two people sitting at a table. One is hunched over a screen, shoveling food in, barely chewing, already thinking about what comes next. The other is sitting upright, breathing deeply, noticing the colors, the textures, the aromas, chewing slowly, tasting fully, giving thanks silently. Now both are eating the same meal, but their bodies are not having the same experience. The distracted eater leaves the table bloated, tired, unsatisfied. The mindful eater leaves the table energized, nourished, grateful. The difference? Not the food. The difference is awareness. And isn't that the truth of life itself? Two people can walk through the same day, one rushing, complaining, blind to blessings, and the other aware, present, grateful, alive to every detail. The day was the same. The experience was not. This is why mindful eating is more than just chewing slowly. It is training yourself to live awake. Every bite becomes a meditation. Every meal becomes a classroom. And slowly, the way you eat transforms the way you exist. Now let us revisit movement. Too often, movement has been sold to us as punishment. Burn the calories, erase the guilt, work off the dessert. But movement was never meant to be punishment. It was meant to be celebration. The body was designed to move, to stretch, to walk, to dance, to breathe deeply. And when we see movement as joy, not burden, it ceases to be something we dread and becomes something we crave. Think of ancient civilizations. They did not have treadmills, but they moved constantly, hunting, gathering, farming, walking, dancing. Their digestion was strong because their lifestyle was fluid. It is only in recent times that we have built lives of chairs and screens, lives where stillness dominates. But the human body is not designed for stillness. Stillness breeds stagnation, and stagnation breeds discomfort. A friend once told me he hated exercise until he reframed it. Instead of saying, I must work out, he began saying, I get to move. Suddenly, movement was no longer a duty, it was a privilege. And when he moved after meals, not to punish himself, but to honor his body, his digestion thanked him with energy, lightness, clarity. What if each of us could make that shift? What if movement became our gift to ourselves, not our penance? And choices. The third key. We cannot avoid this truth. What you put into your mouth today becomes the building blocks of your body tomorrow. Your skin, your blood, your organs, your very cells are built from the choices you make at the table. That is both a sobering truth and an empowering one, because while you cannot control the weather, while you cannot control every circumstance, you can control what you eat, and that control can change everything. Consider this. The gut lining regenerates in a matter of days. The liver regenerates in weeks. The skin renews in about a month. The body is constantly rebuilding itself. So even if you have made poor choices for years, even if you feel broken, heavy, sick, within weeks of better choices, your body begins to transform. That is the miracle. That is the hope. You are not stuck. You are rebuilding daily, and you hold the bricks. Now, let us step deeper into the metaphor of digestion. Life itself is a feast, is it not? Every day, experiences are laid before us like courses at a banquet. Some are sweet, some are bitter, some are nourishing, some are difficult to swallow. But here is the truth. What matters is not what is served, but how we digest it. Two people can face the same hardship. One collapses, the other grows. The difference? Digestion. One swallows whole and suffers. The other breaks it down, absorbs the lesson, eliminates the pain, and moves forward stronger. When you begin to see digestion in this way, you realize it is not a side topic. It is the main topic, because how you digest determines how you live. And if you want to live with vitality, clarity, and strength, you must become a master of digestion, not just of food, but of life. Let us talk about stress for a moment. Stress is the silent killer of digestion. When you eat in stress, the body shuts down the digestive process because it thinks you are in danger. Blood flows to your limbs, preparing you to fight or flee, and digestion stalls. That is why eating in a state of worry or anger so often leads to indigestion. But when you breathe, when you calm yourself, when you eat in peace, the body activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, and food is processed smoothly. But again, think of the metaphor. How many of us try to digest life while stressed? We rush, we panic, we multitask, and then we wonder why we feel so overwhelmed. The truth is, just as the stomach cannot process food in stress, the heart cannot process life in chaos. We need stillness. We need calm. We need to give ourselves the space to rest and digest, not just meals, but moments. I remember sitting once with an elder who said to me, "The problem with your generation is not that you do not eat enough, it is that you do not pause enough." He was right. We consume constantly, food, information, noise, but we rarely pause to process. And without pause, there is no digestion. Without digestion, there is no growth. So, here is the challenge. Reclaim the pause. Before meals, pause. Before reacting, pause. Before judging, pause. That pause is the gateway to digestion. That pause is where wisdom lives. Now I want you to imagine your life 5 years from now. Picture yourself as you could be, energetic, clear, vibrant, free from the discomforts that weigh you down today. Imagine waking up light, ready, joyful. Imagine sitting at a table and eating not with guilt but with gratitude. Imagine moving through your days with energy, with flow, with confidence. Imagine looking back and saying, "I am so grateful I made the change when I did." That future is not a fantasy. It is available to you, and it begins with the simple daily act of improving digestion. But you must choose, and you must choose now, because every meal, every breath, every step is either moving you closer to that vibrant future or further away from it. Do not wait for illness to remind you of the value of health. Do not wait for regret to remind you of the value of time. Begin now. Eat with presence. Move with joy. Choose with wisdom. Digest not just your food, but your life. And watch as everything, your energy, your mood, your relationships, your dreams, transforms before your eyes. Because in the end, ladies and gentlemen, it is not just about digestion, it is about freedom. The freedom to live light, the freedom to live clear, the freedom to live fully. And that freedom is waiting for you at the table, in the walk, in the breath, in the pause. Claim it, live it, and let your life be the radiant proof of what happens when we honor the sacred art of digestion. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to lean in with me now, because what I am about to share is not just more words. It is the weaving together of a truth that has been echoing through human history since the beginning of time. Digestion is not only what happens in your stomach, it is the rhythm of life itself. To neglect it is to neglect your energy, your joy, your ability to rise each day with strength. To honor it is to reclaim the very power that was meant for you. And so, let us continue, because this journey is not yet complete. I want you to imagine for a moment the ancient world, before machines, before processed foods, before schedules ran faster than the sun. Imagine people gathering at the table, sitting together, eating slowly, laughing, telling stories. Meals were not rushed obligations, they were sacred rituals. In many cultures, people gave thanks before eating. They blessed their food, honored the earth, honored the animals, honored the farmers. Do you know what that did? It calmed the body. It put people in a state of peace, which allowed digestion to flourish. They were not swallowing in stress, they were receiving nourishment in gratitude. Now compare that to the modern picture. A person in a car, biting into a burger while weaving through traffic. Another at a desk, eating chips between emails, phone buzzing, mind racing. Another on the couch, shoveling food while scrolling through endless videos, barely tasting anything. Which picture do you think creates health? Which picture do you think creates illness? It is obvious, and yet so many of us choose the second picture every single day. Why do we do this? Because we have lost the art of pausing. We have forgotten that eating is not just about filling hunger, it is about fueling life. And so I tell you again, mindful eating is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the first great key, and without it, the others lose their power. Now let us dive deeper into movement. Picture the human body as a grand city. The stomach is the marketplace where goods arrive, the intestines are the roads that carry them out, the blood vessels are the delivery trucks, and the muscles are the engines that keep the trucks moving. If the city does not move, the roads clog, the trucks stall, and waste piles up. That is what happens in a sedentary body. The roads clog, the waste piles, the system begins to collapse. But when the city is alive with movement, when the roads are clear and the trucks are running, everything flows with ease. The same is true for you. Think of the simple power of a walk, 10 minutes after a meal. Not intense, not complicated, just steady motion. That walk signals to the body, it is time to process, it is time to carry nutrients, it is time to cleanse. I once knew a man in his 60s who had suffered bloating and heaviness for years. Doctors gave him pills, diets, powders, yet nothing truly worked, until his daughter asked him to walk with her every evening after dinner. Within a month, he called it the medicine he had been missing all his life. His face lit up, his step was lighter, his laughter returned. Not from a pill, not from a product, but from movement. And what of choices? Let us take a moment to see the food landscape around us clearly. The world is filled with temptations designed not to nourish, but to hook you. There are scientists paid to engineer snacks so addictive you cannot stop eating them. There are companies that market sugar under 30 different names so you will not notice how much you are consuming. There are industries that profit from your sickness, not your health. So when I tell you to choose wisely, I am not simply giving advice, I am handing you a sword. Because to eat well today is to fight against a system designed to keep you weak. To choose fresh, whole, colorful foods is to rebel against the forces that profit from your decline. And yet, the power is yours. You can walk past the packaged aisle. You can choose the apple, the orange, the leafy greens. You can choose water over soda, tea over energy drinks, real nourishment over artificial pleasure. And every time you do, you are declaring, I am stronger than the trap. I am wiser than the advertisement. I am the master of my body, not its prisoner. That choice, repeated daily, transforms you. But let us go beyond the physical now, because I promised you this truth goes deeper. Digestion is also about the way we handle life. How many of you have held on to bitterness, replayed arguments, carried wounds for years? That is emotional indigestion. It sits inside you, undigested, poisoning your energy, and just as undigested food ferments into discomfort, undigested emotions ferment into resentment. The cure? Process them, break them down, extract the lesson, the wisdom, and eliminate the waste. I once spoke to a woman who had carried anger toward her father for 3 decades. Every time his name came up, her stomach clenched. She said it felt like a rock inside her. And one day she realized it was not just emotional, it was physical. Her digestion suffered, her energy was low, she was in constant discomfort. Only when she chose to forgive, not to excuse, but to release, did she feel her body relax. That rock dissolved, her stomach eased, her energy returned. That is the power of emotional digestion. And what about mental digestion? We live in an age of information overload, news headlines, social media feeds, endless notifications. We consume data every waking minute. But do we digest it? Do we pause to reflect, to filter, to absorb only what is useful? Or do we allow it all to pile up, overwhelming us, leaving us anxious and confused? Mental indigestion is real. It shows up as overwhelm, as distraction, as paralysis. The cure is the same. Slow down, chew your thoughts, process them, absorb what strengthens you, release what does not. You see, digestion is everywhere. It is not just what happens after a meal, it is the pattern of living wisely. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You begin to notice, am I digesting this moment? Am I present? Am I releasing what no longer serves me? Now let me share with you the story of a village I once visited in the mountains. These people lived long, vibrant lives, many reaching past 100 years with clarity and strength. And do you know what their secret was? It was not medicine, it was not supplements. It was their way of eating, moving, and living. They ate slowly, together, with laughter. Their meals were fresh from the land, vegetables, fruits, grains, goat's milk, honey. After eating, they walked, they worked, they danced. They did not sit in cars or on couches. And they carried little stress because they lived close to the earth, grateful for each day. Their digestion was strong, and so their lives were long. Contrast this with our modern cities, where food is rushed, processed, eaten alone in silence, and stress is constant. Which life do you think produces vitality? Which produces disease? The answer is clear, but the choice is ours. You do not have to live in a mountain village to honor these principles. You can live them right where you are, today, in your own kitchen, in your own body. And so, I say this, do not wait. Do not wait for the doctor to tell you to change. Do not wait for pain to force you to listen. Begin now, while you still have the strength to choose freely. Begin with one change, then another, and watch the momentum build until your entire life is transformed. Because the truth is this, your digestion is your destiny. It decides your energy, your mood, your resilience, your future. Do not hand that destiny to chance. Take it into your hands. Honor your body with mindful eating. Honor your system with movement. Honor your future with wise choices. Digest your food, your emotions, your thoughts, your life. And you will rise lighter, clearer, stronger than you have ever been. And as you do, you will become an example. People around you will notice the glow in your skin, the energy in your voice, the clarity in your eyes. They will ask, "What are you doing differently?" And you will tell them, "I learned to honor digestion." And they will follow, and the ripple will spread. And soon, families, communities, even nations can heal. Not from a new pill, not from a new gadget, but from returning to this ancient truth. So let us leave here tonight with fire in our hearts. Let us commit not to vague intentions, but to specific actions, to chew slowly at the next meal, to walk after the next dinner, to choose whole food over processed food tomorrow, to forgive one old hurt, to turn off the screen and breathe before bed. These small acts, multiplied daily, will build the foundation of a life worth living. Ladies and gentlemen, the roots are in your hands. The river is in your hands. The fire is in your hands. Feed it well, move it well, live it well, and watch your life flourish like the mighty tree, strong in its roots, wide in its branches, abundant in its fruit. The time is now, the choice is yours, and the reward is everything. Ladies and gentlemen, when we speak of digestion, we are not only speaking of a biological process, we are speaking of life's most profound rhythm. It is the unseen engine that drives vitality, the hidden fire that fuels our days. And yet, far too often, we treat it as an afterthought. We rush, we overload, we ignore the signals of the body, and then we wonder why fatigue, discomfort, and disease appear. But today, we go deeper, because this truth is not surface level. It is a river flowing beneath everything we are. And if you learn to align yourself with it, if you learn to honor digestion, you will not only heal your stomach, you will transform your life. Consider for a moment the miracle that takes place every single time you eat. You lift a bite to your mouth, you chew, you swallow, and from that moment onward, a symphony begins. Enzymes awaken, acids release, muscles contract in wave-like motion, nutrients are separated, absorbed, and carried into your bloodstream, fueling every cell. Think about that. Every heartbeat you feel, every thought you think, every step you take is powered by that hidden orchestra of digestion. You do not command it consciously, yet it obeys a deeper wisdom, tirelessly working for you. How could we not honor it? How could we not treat it as sacred? But here is the paradox. While digestion is automatic, its success is not guaranteed. It depends on you, on your choices, your habits, your state of mind. And this is where too many of us stumble. We live in a world of speed, a world that praises productivity over presence. We eat in the rush of schedules, under the weight of stress, in the fog of distraction. We give our bodies the raw material of confusion, and then we are shocked when the result is imbalance. But balance can return. Strength can return. Vitality can return. When you decide to align with the natural laws that govern your inner fire. The first of those laws is presence at the table. How often do we sit down to eat but are not truly there? The fork moves, the stomach fills, but the mind is elsewhere, in yesterday's regrets, tomorrow's deadlines, the endless scroll of a screen. But digestion begins not in the stomach, but in the mind. The sight, the smell, the anticipation of food triggers the body to prepare, to release saliva, to ready the enzymes. If your mind is absent, your body is unprepared. Imagine trying to run a race without warming up. You would cramp, you would stumble. That is what we do to our stomachs every time we eat without presence. So I challenge you, make your next meal a ceremony. Put away distractions. Smell the food, taste it fully, chew with awareness. Let your body and mind work together, and you will be astonished by how much lighter, calmer, more energized you feel. Now let us move to movement. The body was never designed for stillness. Our ancestors walked miles daily, not as exercise, but as life itself. The act of movement was inseparable from survival, hunting, gathering, farming, building. And this movement naturally aided digestion because the gentle rhythm of walking, of stretching, of labor kept the internal systems flowing. Today we live in chairs, chairs at desks, chairs in cars, chairs in front of televisions. We sit and sit and sit again, while inside us the fire slows, the roads clog, the flow stagnates, and then we wonder why reflux burns, why bloating comes, why constipation weighs us down. But the answer is simple. Move. I am not telling you to run marathons or spend hours in gyms unless that brings you joy. I am telling you to honor the ancient rhythm of walking, stretching, breathing deeply. After a meal, step outside, let your legs carry you, let your breath expand, let the body's natural currents awaken. Even 5 minutes of gentle motion can unlock what hours of sitting will block. A body in motion is a body in balance, and digestion thrives in balance. Now, let us speak of choice. Every bite you take is a message to your body. Some bites whisper, heal. Others shout, inflame. Some carry life, some carry poison disguised as pleasure, and every day you decide which voice you will amplify. Think of food not as calories, but as information. Fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds. These tell your body to energize, to repair, to protect. Processed foods loaded with sugar, chemicals, and unhealthy fats tell your body to struggle, to store, to weaken, and over time, those messages accumulate into the story of your health. I have met people who lived on fast food and sodas for decades, and their bodies bore the cost: sluggishness, disease, despair. But I have also seen transformation that borders on miraculous when those same people chose differently. One man I knew was overweight, diabetic, constantly tired. He believed his fate was sealed, but when he replaced soda with water, fast food with home-cooked meals, and added a short daily walk, his digestion improved, his energy returned, his blood sugar stabilized, and within a year he was unrecognizable, leaner, stronger, happier. He told me, "I did not change my life in one leap, I changed it one choice at a time." That is the power you hold in your hands. But friends, digestion is not only about the food on your plate, it is about the thoughts you chew, the emotions you swallow, the experiences you process. How many of us are constipated with resentment, bloated with anxiety, inflamed with anger? We carry these undigested feelings like stones in the stomach. And just as undigested food ferments into toxins, undigested emotions ferment into suffering. If you want true digestive health, you must learn to let go, to forgive, to release, to breathe. Because a peaceful mind makes a peaceful stomach. Stress shuts down digestion. Calmness opens it. That is not poetry. It is physiology. Think about the last time you were nervous before a big event. Did your stomach tighten? Did appetite vanish? Or perhaps overtake you uncontrollably? That was your body's way of saying, "I cannot digest under pressure." So why live under constant pressure? Why eat in anger, in sadness, in chaos? Bring peace to your table, and peace will flow through your body. Let me tell you a story. I once met an elderly woman in a small coastal town. She was radiant. Her skin glowed, her eyes sparkled, though she was nearly 90. When I asked her secret, she smiled and said, "I never eat in anger. If I am upset, I wait until I am calm. Food deserves respect, and so does my body." Her words were simple, but they carried the weight of wisdom. She understood what science now confirms. The state of your heart shapes the state of your stomach. And let us not forget, rest. For digestion is not only fueled by what you do, but by what you allow. When you sleep deeply, your body repairs, your gut restores, your system resets. But when you deprive yourself of rest, when you scroll into the night, when you burn the candle at both ends, your digestion suffers. Hormones disrupt, cravings intensify, metabolism slows, and soon you are trapped in cycles of fatigue and poor choices. So honor rest. See sleep not as wasted time, but as the greatest investment in your health. Now, I want you to imagine your future self. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Will you be vibrant, walking with lightness, speaking with clarity, living with energy? Or will you be weighed down, drained, longing for the strength you once had? That future is not written in the stars. It is written in your daily habits. Every meal, every walk, every choice is a brushstroke painting that future. And you are the artist. So I ask you, what will you paint? Will you paint a future of strength, resilience, joy? Or will you hand the brush to convenience, to habit, to industry, and let them paint a future of sickness? The power is yours, and it begins now. Do not wait for the crisis to wake you. Do not wait for the diagnosis to scare you. Do not wait until pain forces your hand. Begin today. At your next meal, choose presence. After your next meal, choose movement. With your next purchase, choose nourishment. With your next breath, choose peace. One step, then another, and soon you will feel the transformation ripple through you. And when that happens, share it. Teach it, inspire others, because when one person heals their digestion, they heal not only themselves, but the family that watches, the friends that follow, the generations that learn. The ripple grows, and the world begins to change, not through revolution, not through policy, but through the simple power of people honoring their bodies. So I leave you with this truth. Digestion is the foundation of life. Honor it, and you honor yourself. neglect it, and you betray the gift you were given. Today, choose honor. Today, choose life. Today, choose the fire within you, the river flowing through you, the roots that ground you. And may that choice lift you into the life you were always meant to live. My friends, let us not stop here, because the message is not yet complete, the fire is not yet fully kindled, and the truth deserves more than a whisper, it deserves a roar. We began this journey speaking of digestion as the unseen rhythm of life, but now let us stretch further, deeper, into the very core of what it means to live in harmony with our bodies, our choices, and our future. Think again of the tree in the field. Its roots draw from the soil, its trunk stands tall, its branches spread wide, and its leaves reach for the sky. That tree lives only because its roots digest the earth, only because it can take in water and nutrients and transform them into life. Without proper digestion, even the mightiest tree will wither. And so it is with you. No matter how ambitious your goals, no matter how bright your dreams, if the root system of digestion is weak, the whole structure of your life is fragile. Yet, when the roots are strong, when the body processes with ease, when nourishment flows freely, you stand unshaken against the winds of life. Let us pause to consider the simplest act, chewing. It seems small, almost insignificant, yet it is the gateway to everything. In our rush, we often swallow quickly, barely breaking food apart. But what happens then? We ask the stomach to work harder, to do the job the teeth never finished. Imagine sending raw, uncut logs into a fireplace instead of finely split wood. The fire struggles, smoke rises, heat is uneven. But when you split the logs properly, the fire burns clean, strong, and steady. Chewing is that splitting of wood. It prepares the fire. It allows the body to burn fuel efficiently. And yet, how often do we rob ourselves of this gift by racing through meals? So I challenge you. Chew with patience. Feel the textures. Taste the flavors. In those moments, you are not wasting time. You are investing in vitality. Now let us look at water. Water is life's river, the very medium of digestion. Without it, nutrients cannot dissolve, waste cannot move, energy cannot flow. Yet so many lie dehydrated, mistaking thirst for hunger, reaching for soda instead of pure water, filling the stomach with sweetness while starving the body of what it truly craves. Imagine a stream without water, stagnant, clogged, breeding decay. That is what happens in the intestines when water is absent. But when water flows freely, the stream is clear, the rocks are polished, life flourishes. So, honor water. Begin your day with it. Sip it steadily. Let it cleanse the pathways of your body. It is the simplest medicine, the oldest remedy, and yet too often ignored. Consider also the rhythm of eating. In ancient cultures, meals had structure, morning for energy, midday for strength, evening for lightness. Today, many of us snack endlessly, blurring the lines, never allowing the body to rest. But digestion, like any worker, needs cycles of labor and cycles of rest. When we graze constantly, we force the system to work without pause, wearing it down, leaving it exhausted. But when we eat with rhythm, balanced meals, mindful spacing, we allow digestion to recover, to grow efficient, to strengthen. Think of a blacksmith striking iron. If he never lets the metal cool, the forge becomes chaos. But with rhythm, the iron shapes beautifully. Give your digestion rhythm, and it will shape your life beautifully. And yet, we cannot speak of digestion without addressing the poison of stress. Stress is the silent thief, the hidden saboteur of health. When stress rises, blood leaves the stomach to fuel the muscles, preparing for fight or flight. The body says, "This is no time for digestion, survival comes first." But in our modern lives, survival threats never end. Deadlines, bills, arguments, notifications, they keep the stress switch turned on. And so, digestion is perpetually neglected, abandoned, sacrificed to the altar of urgency. The result? Indigestion, reflux, bloating, disease. If we want true health, we must learn to tame stress. We must breathe deeply, pause intentionally, and bring calm to the table. Because the body digests not in fear, but in peace. Let me share with you a story. I once met a man who suffered constant stomach pain. He changed his diet repeatedly, tried every supplement, consulted endless doctors, yet the pain remained. One day, during conversation, he confessed that his job filled him with anxiety, his relationships were strained, his mind never rested. I told him gently, "Your stomach is not sick from food, it is sick from fear." He began meditation, he learned breathing techniques, he practiced gratitude before meals. Within months, the pain lessened. Within a year, it was gone. He told me, "I did not just heal my stomach, I healed my life." That is the truth. To heal digestion, we must sometimes heal the soul. Now, let us lift our eyes beyond the individual to the collective, because what we eat is not only a personal choice, it is a cultural rhythm. In some societies, food is sacred, shared, celebrated. In others, it is commodified, processed, packaged for profit. When communities lose connection to natural foods, when markets overflow with processed convenience, digestion suffers on a massive scale. Obesity rises, disease spreads, energy declines. But when communities return to gardens, to fresh markets, to family tables, health returns. So every time you choose whole food, every time you cook at home, every time you gather with loved ones to eat slowly, you are not just healing yourself, you are resisting a culture of sickness and planting seeds for a culture of vitality. And I ask you now, what inheritance will you leave? What example will you set for your children, for those who watch you silently? If they see you eating fast food in haste, glued to a screen, they will inherit the same. But if they see you eating mindfully, choosing fruits, vegetables, water, pausing in gratitude, they will inherit health. Remember, children may not obey every word, but they always imitate the pattern. So let your pattern be a gift of health, a legacy of strength. We must also speak of gratitude. Too often we take food for granted. We see it as fuel, as routine, forgetting the miracle it represents. Think of the seed planted in soil, watered by rain, nourished by sun, harvested by hands, transported across miles, cooked with care, all so that it may arrive at your plate. Each bite is a story of earth and sky, of labor and love. When you eat with gratitude, you honor that story, and your body responds with peace. Gratitude calms the nervous system. Gratitude enhances digestion. Gratitude transforms a meal from mechanical consumption into sacred nourishment. So pause before you eat. Whisper thanks. Let gratitude be the seasoning that flavors every dish, and you will feel the difference in every cell. Now let us speak of elimination. Digestion is not only about what enters, but also what exits. If waste is not released, toxins accumulate, energy stagnates, disease grows. Yet many suffer silently with irregularity, constipation, discomfort. And too often, this is the result of poor choices. Too little fiber, too little water, too little movement. But when we honor the body with fresh fruits, vegetables, grains, when we hydrate, when we move, elimination becomes natural, effortless, cleansing. Think of a river that flows freely versus one dammed and clogged. Which one supports life? Which one breeds decay? Your body is no different. Let the river flow. And as we continue, let us not forget the connection between digestion and immunity. Nearly 70% of the immune system resides in the gut. The gut is the fortress wall, the guardian, the filter between the outside world and the inner sanctum. Every bite you take introduces not only nutrients but potential invaders. If the gut is strong, it defends you. If the gut is weak, illness enters. So by healing digestion, you are strengthening your very defenses against disease. Every mindful choice fortifies the wall. Every careless choice weakens it. You decide the strength of your fortress. And finally, let us rise to the highest truth. Digestion is life's metaphor. Just as the body must break down food, extract what is useful, and release what is waste, so too must the soul. Every experience, every challenge, every relationship must be digested. We must take the lesson, the wisdom, the growth, and release the pain, the bitterness, the burden. Those who cannot digest life's experiences carry them as weight, as toxicity, as suffering. But those who learn to digest rise lighter, freer, stronger. So I ask you, are you digesting your life, or are you letting it rot inside you? If you carry resentment, forgive. If you carry regret, learn. If you carry fear, release. Digest the past so that you may live the present fully. That is the ultimate digestion, the digestion of the soul. My friends, the message is simple yet profound. Eat mindfully, move consistently, choose wisely, drink water, honor rhythm, manage stress, practice gratitude, eliminate waste, strengthen immunity, digest life itself. These are not complex formulas, not expensive programs, not unreachable ideals. They are truths as old as humanity, available to every one of us right now. So let this not be just another speech you heard. Let this be the spark that ignites transformation. Let this be the day you decide to honor your digestion, to honor your body, to honor your life. Begin today, not tomorrow. At your next meal, slow down. At your next choice, choose life. At your next breath, choose peace. And step by step, choice by choice, you will rise into the life you were always meant to live. Because digestion is not only the key to health, it is the key to freedom. Freedom from fatigue, freedom from illness, freedom from fear. And with that freedom, you can live boldly, love deeply, and leave a legacy that echoes beyond your years. The roots are yours, the river is yours, the fire is yours. Tend them well, and they will carry you into a future of strength, joy, and abundance. Thank you.